asked people on Twitter to say what deck they thought was most likely to take down this tournament. And the general consensus was that, like, most people said that they thought a green Wolf Run base deck would end up taking the tournament. A lot of people thought green-white versions were very well positioned right now.
Green-white?
Yes. And I would have to agree. I think the green-white controlling version and the green-white more aggressive version of the Wolf Run decks are very powerful right now.
So that's double splashing? You're splashing white for what, like Oblivion Ring?
Well, white's not really a splash. You're actually just playing white.
Okay.
Red is just splash for the Wolf Run. And
that's how powerful that card is.
Yeah. And white you have for cards, if you're playing the controlling version, for cards like Day of Judgment, if you're playing the aggressive version, for cards like Mirror Crusader. So in mirror matches, Mirror Crusader obviously breaks it wide open.
Okay.
And
so the white version
against the token decks, if you think that's going to be more than
no longer uses Dungrove Elder.
No.
Would that be correct? Okay. Well, that's interesting. And I have seen some tweets, people mentioning that Death Touch is an essential ability these days because of the Shroud on Dungrove Elder, or Hexproof. I'm sorry. Hexproof. I keep losing to that in Limited.
All right, so Nick apparently has to play, and he leads things off with an island and passes the turn over. Both people playing at a very reasonable pace right now. Nick's going to start churning in a little bit of card advantage. Going to think twice out there.
He thinks once.
Yeah.
And back-to-back Drowned Catacombs.
And
Brandon, that he lands the card he needs to land right there, Dungrove Elder, as a 3/3.
Elder, which is pretty powerful here against Nick. Now, Nick's deck does have a lot of ways to deal with that. He's playing 2 Wormcoil Engines. His Grand Architects are really strong there also. Now, I'm interested to see what Nick actually has in his hand, because
he's
not
just
really
flashback, think twice. Brandon's doubled down on his Dungroves. Now 4/4s.
Yeah. And soon they might be 5/5s. Yeah. So
playing very fast here.
Nick's at 6 already, and Nick's gonna flash in a
Snapcaster with nothing in his graveyard.
Nothing in his graveyard.
So he's just using it here to soak up 5 damage.
Yeah. And Nick's gonna drop down to 11 here. Now, if Nick wants to win this game, he's going to have to.
Pretty much has to land a Wormcoil Engine.
Yeah, he needs to go land Wormcoil Engine the next turn. But with an opponent going Garruk Primal Hunter, things are looking pretty bad, because even if he does land that Wormcoil Engine, his opponent's going to be able to, just draw like 5 or 6 cards off one of those Dungrove Elders.
So of course he had to have that Wormcoil, and he cast Dismember without paying any life. He had the 2 black to get rid of the beast token. So here we go. Those are... Oh. So it looks like Brandon declared attackers and then Beast Within the Wormcoil. So he's going to get 3 tokens total. Beast Within 3/3 and the 2 worms. One with Death Touch, one with Lifelink.
Let's see. Will Brandon cash this in? Draw a bunch of cards? No. He's just going to make another beast, pass the turn. I think in that spot, I normally just want to draw 6 cards. I think that that would pretty much lock up the game.
So it looks like the timing of that Beast Within was after blockers were declared. Otherwise, Nick would have blocked with the 3/3 Death Touch.
Correct. And by doing it in that fashion, he
keeps the Dungrove alive for another turn.
Yeah, not only does he keep the Dungrove alive, but also prevents Nick from getting the life.
Right.
And, yeah.
So Nicholas cast a Dismember there? Or...
Yeah, he used Snapcaster Mage, targeting his Dismember, and used it to deal with
very,
those.
very fast here. We're trying to keep up.
Yeah.
And then he counterattacked to kill the Garruk, and now a Dungrove is traded with a Death Touch token.
And he just used his Buried Ruin to return the Wormcoil Engine back to his hand. And
okay, so that's not a
Nick's
bad sequence
way back
for
into this game.
Spagnolo.
Yeah.
He's going to gain 3 more life here. so he's stabilized
And
has a
Wurmcoil's
Worm
back
Coil
out.
for defense.
Now, Nick playing at this pace is actually helping him out quite a lot because Brandon made a pretty grave mistake by not using his Garruk Primal Hunter to sacrifice one of those Dungro Velders. If he had drawn 6 cards in that spot, I would find it very hard to believe that Nick would have a chance of winning this game.
Well, yeah, you don't have to sacrifice. It's just draw cards equal to the highest power you have.
Well, you do have to sacrifice the creature, but...
Is that for Primal Hunter? I thought I might be confusing my Garruks here. I know that Garruk, when he transforms, you sack a creature to
search your library.
Right.
Well, the other one, you sacrifice a creature and you draw cards equal to its power. Which is one of the great interactions between Kessel and Wolfrun. A lot of the time you're able to just pump up a bird or something and then sacrifice it and draw 7 cards. Alright, so Nick is able to resolve a Sword of War and Peace, and he's going to equip that to his beast, and he's going to get in there with a whole bunch of guys, which is pretty interesting considering his opponent has a Dungro Velder, which is
But he's expecting
here
to gain some life here.
Oh, yeah.
Up to 9 life off of the Worm Coil and the previous token. Well, even and the Sword of War and Peace, well, it's not going to connect, so he's not going to gain life off that. But, yeah, he's going to go up to a comfortable 18. At some point there, Spagnolo picked up a poison counter, I guess, from an Inkmoth Nexus.
Yeah, Brennan attacked last turn before he had cast that Garruk. He attacked with an Inkmoth. Kind of for 1.
And now Brandon's going to slow down and think about what he needs to do to win.
Ooh, and if he's tapping that much mana, a green Sun Zenith for 6 is pretty good. But a Dissipate.
Yeah. So Brandon wanted to go and get a Primeval Titan there, but it was countered. This game just turned around so quickly.
Yeah. And
I mean, at one point, Nicholas was definitely down to what, like 3 to 5 range. And Brandon had like double Dungro Velder and a Garruk.
And let's see what Nick's gonna do here. I think he may have just drawn another land. Which is not what he wants to be drawing at this point. He's got plenty of those.
And I've seen Nick Spagnolo play in the past. He does usually play at a fairly quick pace.
Yeah. Nick's a fast player.
So he may have kind of trapped Brandon into playing along at his pace and making some mistakes there in his decision tree.
Alright, so Garruk, you do not have to sacrifice for Garruk Primal Hunter. I'm sorry, I was...
So yeah, it was the
you're
backside
correct.
of Garruk.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 3 Garruks essentially off of 2 cards. There's a lot of
It's been a long day.
there.
I know what the card does, just... Ooh, okay. Now, with the...
Spellskite, huh?
Yeah. With that sword in play, that Spellskite, the extra body on that Spellskite is pretty good. Yeah. And,
so Brandon tried to fight with Garruk against the token.
He just missed out on making a wolf there.
And Nicholas said, no, you're going to fight against Spellskite.
Spellskite said, woo! Which is Spellskite speak for please target me instead.
Sure. You speak that language.
All right. Let's see what Nick can find here. He's got ooh, that's a grip.
So this is Forbidden Alchemy here.
Yeah, and that's
Spagnolo.
That's going to be pretty huge because he'll get the flash it back also, and you know, getting that much card manipulation and advantage, it's going to be really strong, especially when both people are kind of playing off the top of their decks.
Very interesting card to see in a Grand Architect list. Forbidden Alchemy. He can put some spells in his graveyard for Snapcaster Mage, or he could put some artifacts in his graveyard to get back with Buried Ruin later on. So It's not the greatest synergy, but there he can get some extra value there, and he does have, think twice.
Yeah, so Nick gains a ton of life. So what is that? 8, 10 plus however many cards he had in his hand.
For Brandon to climb back into this game, what is he gonna need?
A Primeval Titan off the top would be a really nice start.
He only has a singleton Acidic Slime, which is very good against a Grand Architect deck, taking out artifacts.
Unfortunately, right now, Nick has the Spellskite in play, so that'll prevent any shenanigans from happening in that regard.
He does have a singleton Batter Skull, which, if he top decks and just equips to a Dungrove Elder, will keep him in this game life total-wise.
Yeah. Now, Brennan also has multiple Garruk stranded in his hand.
Yeah, he's got 4 Primal Hunters and 2 Garruk Relentless in his deck, and he's drawn a few too many of them here, and just can't keep up with that Wormcoil engine.
Nick was able to really turn that one around. Brandon made a few key mistakes there. He missed creating a wolf on a key turn by fighting the creature when Nick had a Spellskite in play and plenty of blue mana to deal with it. He also made the mistake of not using his Primal Hunter's draw ability and instead using it to make a 3/3.
And there were certain points in that early part of the game where he had the double Dungrove Elder. Maybe if he just slows down a little and thinks about his line, he thought he had an overwhelming advantage, but those Wormcoil engines with their lifelink just turned it around really quickly.
Yeah, Nick ended up finishing the game at
34 at least.
Yeah, and after that last attack, well above 40.
Yeah. So now they're going to sideboarding. Nicholas Spagnolo. He's got some Perilous Mirrors, not very useful. Sword of War and Peace. Azure Mage. Singletons of Druidic Satchel, Mortar Pod, Spellskite, and Phyrexian Metamorph. And here's what's definitely coming in. 3 Flash Freezes. Yeah.
Those are coming in for sure. And Phyrexian Metamorph is also probably coming in here. I also would not be surprised to see Perilous Mirror. It's
you think Perilous Mirror?
Yeah, I mean it's good at attacking Brandon's Planeswalkers.
Okay. So just as a roadblock that can knock down Planeswalkers a little.
Yeah, I think that if that's not the plan, then he's probably bringing in the Mortar Pod also. So.
Okay, and then Brandon Smith he's got 2 Ancient Grudges in the sideboard.
Yeah, and those are going to be really strong here. He also has access to a Viridian Corruptor, so now his Green Sun Zeniths can also act as artifact removal as early as the 4th turn, or as early as the 3rd turn if he has a Mana Accelerator. And again, a second Acidic Slime is also very good here.
That's an interesting one. Stinger Fling Spider.
Yeah, Stinger Fling Spider is a powerful spell. It's one of the only ways this deck has to deal with a card like Consecrated Sphinx.
Right.
And the fact that he has Green Sun Zenith means that he only has to play 1 copy of that in his sideboard, and he can get a lot of value from it. Because you never know what Flying Fatty is going to beat you when you're playing a green deck. I actually had a singleton Shivan Dragon in my sideboard at a Pro Tour because post-sideboard, the elf decks would sideboard out the removal that could kill it against our deck, and they didn't have anything that could fly, so we just cast a Shivan Dragon and just put all our red mana into it until they died.
Shivan Dragon was really the best
at the time, yes, it was.
You could find.
I mean, Magic has changed a lot since then.
I mean, there was a period where 2-headed dragon dominated.
Yeah, that card was insane.
And then now what do we get, dragon-wise? What's a dragon that's seen play recently?
Baneslayer Angel's kind of a dragon.
That's not a dragon. You
Huh.
guys, you need to know your fantasy lore.
I am a dragon. I don't know what you're talking about.
Angels are not dragons. I'm going to say that definitively. That's my platform. Angels are not dragons.
Does Ricky want to know my fantasy?
Now, Flame Blast Dragon has been seen as a one-up from time to time.
Ooh. I like
And
that.
That's certainly better than Shivan Dragon.
What about that new one? Is that going to see any play? Is it Bale Fire or... I can't remember.
I think its casting cost is a little prohibitive because it doesn't have a come into play ability.
Yeah.
Like nowadays, when you're casting a creature that costs 5 or more that doesn't do anything, the moment it comes into play, you're kind of in trouble. All right, so this time Brandon Smith has a Birds of Paradise on the play, which is pretty strong. He does not have a 3-drop or 4-drop, however, so
no Dungrove.
He must have a reactive hand. And a Kestic Wolfrun comes down. Nick's going to use the end of Brandon's turn to cast Forbidden Alchemy, and let's see what he finds. All right, another Forbidden Alchemy in the graveyard. Later on in the game, that's going to be very valuable for Nick. Nick was able to find his 4th land with that Forbidden Alchemy. Very important in this matchup.
You think Brandon here has kept a hand with like a bunch of acidic slimes and or ancient grudges, maybe?
I don't know. It's interesting that he's choosing to kind of play this weird draw-go game because a draw-go game seems like it greatly favors Nick.
Yeah. I mean, like right here, if he had a Primeval Titan and didn't slam it down because he was afraid of a counterspell, he's kind of walking right into Nicholas's deck's strength. It's just to wait around.
And Nick starts taking advantage of that by using an Inkmoth Nexus to attack. All right. So Brandon Smith is going to use a Beast Within and target one of Nick's Inkmoth Nexi. It's going to give Nick a 3/3. I don't know how good that is because then Nick's able to starve him for a little more mana, and now Nick has Clock. I had one time when I was playing Pyromancer Ascension, I had an opponent Surgical extract my Pyromancer Ascensions, and I had no way to win. And then he Beast Within one of my lands.
Oh wow!
And I was able to kill him with a 3/3. So.
So Brandon either had or just drew a Primeval Titan, went for it, and Nick had a mana leak with the last 2 mana open. So Brandon was trying to keep Nicholas off of at least the Dissipate mana there, but ran into the mana leak.
Brandon's going to go up to 2 poison counters and down to 17 life. Something that's really interesting about Nick's deck is that because of Grand Architect, you can actually make the Inkmoth Nexus blue, and it attacks for 2 poison damage.
I did that in a booster draft once. I attacked 10 times with an Inkmoth Nexus pumped by Grand Architect. It was like the rest of the deck was ultra controlling, so it was really all I could do. And Brandon has the Acidic Slime to take out the Inkmoth Nexus. So there goes that dream of poisoning him to death for now. There are 4 Nexuses total in Spagnolo's deck. Oh.
And that's pretty good.
Phyrexian Metamorph copying Acidic Slime to take out Brandon's Inkmoth Nexus. So look at this board. Mono Forest versus Mono Islands.
Yeah. How it should be.
Mono Forest is a little better when it lands a Dungrove. But Flash Freeze takes care of that problem.
Alright, now Nick's going to crash in for a few more damage. And Brandon's got a decision to make here. That's interesting that he chose to block the 3/3. He is saving himself some damage, but the Death Touch on the Acidic Slime is...
Because Brandon has some huge monsters in his deck. Primeval Titans and
Brandon has Dungrove Elder.
You don't want to trade those
probably
for a slime.
Thrun, too, post-board. But, I mean, Thrun you could at least regenerate, but...
That is a Viridian Corruptor.
It is Viridian Corruptor, which is very powerful here.
So that... he could have had that in his hand, knew he was going to corrupt her.
Okay, Nick's going to go ahead and cast Forbidden Alchemy. And
looking for a leak or a Flash Freeze.
He sees 2 mana leaks. And... I mean, he's got some decisions because he's also got some other powerful spells in his...
Dumps 2 leaks and uses a Flash Freeze.
Yep. And now he found himself a sort of feast and famine in that process, so now he's going to be able to suit this guy up.
That's all.
And with that guy having protection from green, Brandon's going to be in a world of trouble. He's going to need an Ancient Grudge and fast. And not only that, but he's going to need the red mana to cast it.
Or he could discard it to the Sword of Feast and Famine, and then flash it back.
It's true. Then he's got to take another hit from the sword.
Yeah. Green Sun Zenith for 5 Acidic Slime, but negates.
Yeah. And Brandon
just
packs
it in. Wow.
Yeah. And wow, that was really fast.
No kidding. I mean,
Yeah, so Nick Spagnolo advances to 5-0-1 now, playing an interesting Grand Architect brew. For those of you listening at home, the deck list is 2 Wormcoil Engine, 3 Spellskite, 4 Snapcaster Mage, 4 Grand Architect, 4 Mana Leak,